Talent Skilling Head, Industry Cloud Digital, and Artificial Intelligence Wipro. A warm welcome to you, sir. And Srikanth Chandrasekaran, Country Head and Senior Director, IEEE India. A warm welcome to you, sir. The panelists are being welcomed by our Senior Vice President, Mr. Kumar.
Ram may be
May I request Sri V.G. Kiran Kumar, our Director, FKCCI, and Director of Vishal Infrastructure, to come and take over the proceeding. Over to you, sir.
Thanks. Morning. Can I just increase the volume, Sabu? I request all those students who are coming from our college and various colleges to come in front of the stage immediately. I would request all the MBA students to please come in front of the stage. Yeah, friends, good morning. As you all know, today's debate is on the managing Gen Z, skilling and workforce is what has been given to me. We have with us, a very, very senior panelists who have been in the, most of you youngsters would have seen them in the YouTube and TV channels, especially Mr. Madan is the director and founder of iBridge. Welcome to you, sir, on behalf of FKCCI. Surya Mohapatra is the talent skilling head, cloud digital and AI from Wipro. We also have Srikanth Chandrasekaran, country head and director of IEEE. Welcome to you, sir. And we also have a very, very senior author, founder of Born to Win, my good friend, my brother, Mr. Kumar Seshu, a trainer, and he's been motivator for all of us. So there is I have sir, can we start straight away? All right. All the four panelists are ready with it. Let me first request to do the opening remarks by themselves. I request to start with Mr. Madan to come on the stage and say a few words. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Ellugu Namaskara. Can I hear a good afternoon from all of us? Good afternoon. Okay. It's good to see, it's a very topical thing about Gen Z, and it's good to see at least a few of our Gen Z youth here. Maybe just to set a quick context, I'm sure, our friends out there will know this, but Gen Z is anybody born between 97 to 2012, right? And characterized apparently by three things. Of course, they're all digital natives. Unlike a few of us who saw our first computer only when we were 20, or saw the first email when we were just starting our work lives, Gen Zs are defined by being digital natives first. Many surveys have also said, and I'm sure in the question and answer we will hear from them, that Gen Zs are also driven by a stronger sense of societal and social values and social causes, which in my line of work I see that happening very often. I'm very heartened to see youth of today who says, it's just not about money, tell me how I can make a difference. Right? And the third, of course, is the ability to stay connected at all times, which is a nature of Gen Zs. So the digital communication, ability to communicate 1,000 words in a single meme, I think also conveys the futuristic thoughts of Gen Z. The big challenge that we have today is how do we connect that Gen Z with the emerging MSME, right? In fact, we recently did a survey across 1,000 of the poorest households across the country through the foundation I run called Head Held High. It's interesting, and I just want to put a few statements out there and maybe we'll open it up. One, we asked if you had 10,000 rupees today, and these are youth who are 18 years old who come from the poorest households, where would you spend this 10,000 rupees today? Interestingly, 43% of them said we will spend it on upskilling and creating better learning opportunities for ourselves. Okay, it's amazing. 40% of them said I have a lot of debts, my parents have a lot of debts, I will use that money to pay off debts. It's only a smaller minor percentage, that 17% who said I will use it to buy a gadget or whatever, right? Contrary to expectations or perceptions that youth will splurge, consumption driven, we were very, very taken in to say that yes, they believe that I need to upskill, I need to create more opportunities for myself. That's one point. The second point, which is big, is that almost all of them said, okay, if you had to go find a training program today, where would you go? Almost 83% of them said, I have no idea. Okay, so the challenge is, well, there are myriad opportunities around, the exposure to what they need to do and what paths will take them in their aspirational pathways are still not very clear, which is also the nature of the beast because the world is changing so fast today, right? And lastly, I'm bringing the gender angle to this, that we found that 29%, so there was a 2x difference between boys who were gainfully employed or engaged, I wouldn't say employed, to girls who were employed. So which means to say that the gap we found was almost 100% gap. That if there were 29% of the girls who had jobs, there were 58% of the boys who had some employment opportunities, which also shows that how do we attract more and more women workforce to come into the MSME space. I'll probably end by saying the future is going to get even more fuzzy because we all know AI. I'm sure our learned panelists will speak about that, to say that AI will create new opportunities while taking away the older ones. So how do we prepare not just the MSME world but the younger Gen Z generation as well to adopt AI, because that is cool, right? And it will work well. Two, we all also know that the world is also moving towards a gig economy model rather than a full-time employment. Well, our parents' zamanas, the average employment was 30 years, 35 years. For us, it's moved to 3.5 years, right? My average tenure, whatever, is 3.5, 4 years. And maybe for people, it is now moving to 3.5 months, right? So how do we still manage this workforce in that 3.5, 4 months of potential time to add value is a question that we will probably I'm sure we'll dive along. So just wanted to share some of these opening comments. Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Madan sir. That is really a lot of information for the generation is sitting here right in front of us. So the youngsters are already coming in here. A lot of them are already moved in now. Okay, my next question is for Sri Surya Mohapatra ji. Sir, with the AI and automation reshaping industry, how can we balance the technical skills? The question. Were you able to hear, sir? Okay.
So, I think AI and automation, that's the buzzword today. And that's really, all of us know that it is revolutionizing the industry, the workplace, the mindset and everything. If you look at it, about 18 months ago, we did not have a role called prompt engineers in the industry, right? But today prompt engineers are in big demand. So technology is actually, changing the game. Now, when I go to universities, B schools, talk to professors, talk to students, everybody has a question mark, what's going to happen by the time I pass out of this B school, what's going to happen to me? The skills that I'm acquiring now, will they remain relevant? What I'm learning today, the technology that I'm learning, the business model that I'm learning, will they remain relevant tomorrow? There are predictions that millions of jobs will go away. Gen AI will replace millions of jobs. So what will happen to me? What will happen to my career? What is in store for me in future? Like, Madan mentioned, there are some very interesting conversations we have. And I have noticed, this is my observation, that every Gen Z or a millennial today is anxious, a bit worried, but at the same time very, very excited. That's the positive thing I have noticed. There is a great deal of excitement. There are opportunities. While the challenges are plenty, where probably uncertainty is there in plenty, but there is a lot of excitement. So all that I can say, in the world where AI and technology is going to change everything, we'll have to see how it's going to make a difference to the world and what we can do, how I can learn, adapt technology to create value for the organization that I'm going to work for and to create value for the country or for the society. At the same time, I'll also have to figure out, and this is for my Gen Z friends, what's important is lifelong learning is going to be the future. That's the most important criteria, the more important ability, the skill that you need to develop is lifelong learning. If you get a university degree, if you get a certificate from the best B school, that is only the beginning of the journey. That's not the end. So that's something which is important. Now in the MSME context, when we are talking about attracting Gen Z to the organization, one thing that comes to my mind, MSMEs spend a lot of time branding their products, branding their solutions, but they've spent very little time doing employer branding. That's the weak area. If you want your customers to be attracted to your products and you have to brand it, you also need to make sure that the Gen Z, the millennials, are also attracted to your organization, and you need to have enough branding to ensure that it happens, because especially the generation that most of us belong to and the Gen Z, the millennials, the Gen Y, Gen Z they are born with a screen at home, and they have been exposed to a screen right from their infancy. So they have been exposed to brands, they have exposed to brand identities, right? So it is the question that they always have in their mind, what is the brand identity of the organization they are going to join? I would like to pause here. With this note, I know we'll have a discussion around different aspects, but this is where I would like to pause at the moment.
Yeah. So thank you so much. May now request Srikanth Chandrasekaran ji, how can we balance the human-centric abilities in preparing the Gen Z for the future job market? We can see a lot of youngsters here, so your inputs please.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the... No, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So first of all, I want to thank the organizers for having me on the stage.
I would request people who are standing there, all the students, to please come and take your seats. You cannot laundering around like that. Today, this session is only for you guys. I request all the students, MBA students who are coming, please come forward and take your seats now. Sir, sorry, go ahead.
No problem. Thank you. So first of all, thank you for having me on the stage here. For people who do not know the organization, I come from an organization called IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. So we are seeing a lot of change within the institution, right? IEEE back in the day was focused around electronic and electrical engineers, okay? I hope people are able to hear me. I don't know, right? So I'm keeping it as close as possible. Okay, now it's better? Okay, much better. People say that they can hear me without a mic, but anyway. All right, so the organization which used to represent electrical and electronic engineers has changed substantially. We used to be a technical organization, but now as we move forward, we are getting into the area of socio-technical impact. I think Madan mentioned that there is a lot of recognition in the Gen Z for a lot of societal impacts. It can be around climate change, it can be around sustainability, it can be around environment. And we were the organization whose roots were grounded on developing standards around electrical engineering, the Wi-Fi standard, the Ethernet standard. But now as we progress, we are seeing that we are getting into an area where we are looking at ethical impact of AI. We are looking at how do you control GHG emissions, how do you do carbon sequestration, how do you address challenges around sustainability and climate change. And I think what makes sense to this audience is the current generation of Gen Zs are also moving in that direction, right? So I think one of the things we have to understand is what used to be a vertically defined domain, now every problem is extremely multidisciplinary, you know. You cannot work in silos, you have to work with, even if you look at a simple issue such as heat, you know, the heat impact today as climate change, it has issues around agriculture, it has issues around water, it has issues around biodiversity. So there are different things that are coming into play. So you cannot look at a problem statement just through its vertical, you have to look at it much more holistically. The one more thing that we have noticed between my generation and the current generation, idea to product generation has accelerated tremendously. Back in the day, when you had an idea, by the time it comes into a product, it used to be a decade, 10 years, right? Today, students want to become entrepreneurs. They want to convert their ideas into products immediately. But as we do that, we need to understand some of the key critical point of view. Like I come from a standards background. Today we are living in a global supply chain, right? So not only you have to understand what you are trying to do within your product, but you have to also understand how your product integrates with a larger ecosystem, right? So that is extremely important, you know, whether it be in the form of interface, whether it be in the form of data governance. So I think today's world is evolving very rapidly. The understanding of multidisciplinary aspect as well as to understand the global supply chain is extremely crucial for the success of any new innovation that is coming from Gen Z. And I think I refer back to Mustafa's talk in the previous panel. I think it's important to understand what is your critical issue and how do you fund it and how do you actually take it forward. With that, I will stop here and I will give it back to you, sir.
So thank you so much, sir. May now request Sri Seshu. This question is for you. As you all aware, I can see a lot of his students also here. You have written extensively on the generation change. What are the unique cultural and psychological traits of Indian doing. Yeah.
because it's fascinating the kind of work that is happening in exactly the same area.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Kiran. No, I think this is a topic which is of supreme importance, and I think I'm very passionate about this. Two parts. One, I just want to zoom in, especially for our youth out here, on the opportunities that are there in our rural markets. Okay? And here is you can shout out loud, and by the way, just stay till the end, there's a surprise coming for all of our young people here. But let me ask you a question. We all know if the economy, the GDP of India is in our face every day, you know, third largest, fourth largest, we'll get there. What is the GDP of India?
Can someone answer?
What is the GDP of India in whatever, trillions of dollars now? Yeah, 4. Okay, so $4 trillion, 4.1 something, which we've just beaten Japan as the fourth largest. We are now behind US, China, and of course Germany. Now, how many of you, I like using this example because it rhymes with India, but there's a district between Karnataka, between Bangalore and Mysore called Mandya. How many of you have been to Mandya? Okay. So, let me ask you this question. What do you think is the GDP of Mandya? Any guesses? Hundreds of crores, thousands of crores, some number that comes to your mind. Any guesses? Okay. Sorry? 200 crores. Okay. Anything else higher than that?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Tell me. Can someone give the mic, please?
1,000 crores. Whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll get the mic, but let me, when I started to understand this question, Mandya is your typical district, 22 lakh people. Of course, it is a prosperous district, Kaveri belt, sugar, so on and so forth. As per the Karnataka Economic Census Report of 22-23, right? Mandya's GDP, you said 200 crores, somebody said 1,000 crores, 5,000 crores, 5,000 crores, okay. Mandya's GDP as per that report is 48,000 crores. Right? It's $6 billion as of 22-23. You know, what was it in 2016? 24,000 crores. So it's doubled in 6 years. Right? Is there something special in Mandya? Nothing much. It's the same old. The poorest district in Karnataka, Yadgir, GDP is 18,000 crores, much bigger than the 5,000 crores. So by the same yardstick, Mandya by 2030-31, if it doubles again in the next 6-7 years, which we should, if you're growing at 7-8%, Karnataka is growing at 10%, Mandya's GDP will be 100,000 crore GDP by 2030-31. Right? Imagine that is the size of 6 Bhutans in just one district. And there are 766 districts in our country. Right? So I believe that if India has to become a $7 trillion economy, which is what our aspiration at least in the next 7-8 years is, 3 through 3.5 trillion will come from the metros, which is the Bangalore's and the Mumbai's and the Delhi's, but a 7 trillion should come from our rural hinterlands. If 700 districts each were to pull in a $10 billion on an average economic value, we will hit that number. So the point I'm making, especially for our young people here, is do not think that all opportunities lie in Bangalore. It is of course there, but there are also opportunities in Bidar, Hassan, Shimoga, Mandya, Raichur, you name it, there are opportunities. Imagine if you were to add 50,000 crores to the economy of Mandya the next 7-8 years, we pat ourselves on the back for creating 100 unicorns in the country. I can bet that we can create 10 unicorns in Mandya itself. Right? We can create maybe 7,000 unicorns in the country. Right? Why only 100? The point is, it requires all of us to come together to unlock that value. Digital tools, DPI, the variety of AI tools, will transform industries, will transform MSMEs. So, to your point, Kiran, I think youth and all of us must start focusing the spotlight on these opportunities. I'm glad that with all of our input the last 1 year, the government of Karnataka has launched a 1,000 crore initiative called DEEP. It's called the Local Economy Acceleration Program. The idea is to create opportunities, build skills, create internships, apprenticeship, placement opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities, all within the common districts beyond Bengaluru. So my point is that our youth especially must be taught and must recognize massive opportunities in our rural hinterlands. And I see no dearth of talent. I run a foundation called Head Held High, where we literally take zero educated, illiterate village youth, and in 6 months we transform them to be English speaking, digital illiterate professionals. They go on to work with hotels like Taj, they set up their own businesses. There is a cowherd in Koppal who was grazing buffaloes in 2011. He is now the chief operating officer of a 60-bedded hospital in Koppal. Right? That is the potential of our young people and the potential of our economy. We just need to bring it together and magic will happen. And I think the forum like FKCCI is the ideal forum, especially in the context of MSMEs, to really make this happen and make this reality, make this dream that all of us have of Viksit Bharat a reality only with our rural economies shaping it.
Friends, I want to add 2 or 3 points what Mr. Padaki said. I want to talk something about Mr. Madan Padaki himself. This Madan Padaki, Ram Seshu, all these people are nation builders is what we call them. Please give them a round of applause for all the 4 panelists. The reason why I am saying is, Madan Padaki has created a history in Karnataka, just not in Karnataka, then it became South India, then it became South India to all over India, then all over Asia. Now he is an international brand. Now, how many of you are aware of this Thai India? So he was heading Thai India, and something amazing. You will find lots and lots of entrepreneurs. The moment you say that Mr. Madan Padaki's name, they say, yes sir, we have also learned so much from him, and we also attended his programs. I'm sure sir, I can give you classic examples like that. In fact, we are going live now. Our program is going live. So it is going all over Karnataka. So everybody, there's a lot of people who could not make it also said this session was very, very important. Thank you Madan for that. And about Ram Seshu, as Ram Seshu again is a born leader. So he's been training the trainers, so he's been training so a lot of us, a lot of team management, whether you take from Infosys, Wipro, IBM, anybody for that matter, Accenture. I think the name is endless. Ram, thank you so much.
Just wanted to add something.
Yes sir.
By sharing a small story, but this is not just story. We are talking about tier 2, tier 3 cities in the country, or towns, villages, etc. In a city called Indore, in central India, there was a homeopathic doctor, and he was running a clinic. On an average, about 2 or 3 patients used to come in every day, and he used to earn about 500, 600 rupees a day. Is it better? Yeah. He was earning about 500 to 600 rupees a day, being a homeopathic doctor. And he had a lot of free time, and he was on social media, Facebook, right? He made many friends because he was waiting for patients to come. Hardly 3-4 patients used to walk in during the day. So while being on social media, one day he bumped into a feature in Facebook called Facebook Messenger. And then he started, chatting with his friends. And he shared with his friends that I'm a homeopathic doctor and all that, Some of his friends started saying, well, I have this ailment, I have this problem. He said, oh, I can help you. This is how the conversations began. Excuse me. He started prescribing medicines. Many people liked, right? And he saw that now he is having patients all over the country. Then he started making more friends on Facebook. He added more friends. He probably saw there was a potential business opportunity. Today, he hardly see any patients in the clinic. He's always online, and he has patients all over the world, not just Indore, not in India, but across the world. And he is making lots of money. So it doesn't matter whether it is rural India, tier 2, or a metropolitan city. Right? What matters today See, gone are the days where the muscle power, political power, financial power was ruling. Today it is knowledge that rules. If you have knowledge and connectivity, you are the winner.
Thank you, sir. May now request another panelist, Srikanth sir, your views please.
So within IEEE, right, so we are looking at certain things from a rural perspective, right? Okay, so I need to keep it really close, maybe eat the mic. All right, so one of the things that we have been doing is, as we are evolving technology, let's talk about 5G. I think in the last panel, somebody talked about the 5G technology. We also have to understand that there is an aspect around average revenue per user. So one of the challenges that we have undertaken is, how do we adopt these technologies that are applicable to also rural communities? So there is something called frugal 5G, right? So, I don't think India is looking at going at needing a 5G which in a train that goes at 300 kilometers an hour, right? So we are low mobility. So there is an adaptation that's happening of the 5G technology called frugal 5G, which is for low mobility, and how people can really enable that within the rural community. So I think there is a lot of opportunity and innovation that is happening on how technologies can be applied to different communities around the world. And sometimes we think the problem is uniquely Indian, but rural communities in the United States face the same challenge, right? So when you put global programs, when you bring in global people, you realize that these problems are not just in our backyard, but it's there in other places. So there are certain aspects that we are trying to do where we are really engaging not only with just the urban population, but also with the rural population. Let's take the example of agriculture. 70% of India is based on agriculture GDP. So ignoring the rural population is a huge disservice that we can do to the nation. So now within IEEE, we are looking at what are the technologies that can be done to enable the agricultural field, whether it is in the form of agricultural IoT or probably water reduction when it comes to growing rice, because some people say that exporting rice is almost like exporting water. If you know the amount of water that is needed for cultivating rice. So how do we maintain the yield and the profitability while addressing some of our critical issues such as water? So within IEEE, we have taken a much more stronger view of how to engage communities across the nation, and at the same time, you cannot decouple these things. Ultimately, the market might be in urban, the technology might be developed in rural. So we are trying to bring these communities together to address these problems in a holistic manner. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Now this question for all the four of us, anybody can answer this. Is the Indian education system fundamentally misaligned with the workforce needs for Gen Z? Should the focus shift from degrees to demonstrable skills? So, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So within IEEE, we have a program called the Blended Learning Program. Okay. I think India is moving in a direction where I don't know how many people are aware of the NEP 2020, National Education Policy, and I think education is a macro problem. Within the problem, you don't see the change. When you come outside the problem, you see the change that's happening. How I learned education and how my kids are learning education, it's night and day, right? The NEP 2020, I think, is really addressing some of the problems that you are saying, right? There is a lot more emphasis on online education, right? The problem is technologies will keep on evolving. Technologies will keep on progressing. Changing curriculum every day is almost impossible, right? So while the universities and the curriculum are teaching some of the foundational and the fundamental elements, I think organizations such as IEEE, and there are many such organizations who are creating what we call as the skilling, the bridging the skill gap between the student and what the industry needs. Typically what happens when students get hired by industry, they go through a 6-month or a 3-month training program just to make them productive, right? So we are taking the pain out of the industry and see how we can complement as the students are going through the education system by providing these complementary skills. In fact, now we are in discussions, everybody is talking about AI. AI is accelerating very fast. And it doesn't matter which technology field you are in, you need to understand AI. You can be manufacturing plastic for all you care, but at the back end you have IoT integration, you have AI coming into place. So we are trying to see what are all these emerging technologies where the curriculum cannot keep pace, but institutions such as IEEE can provide that skilling gap, and I think that is very essential today. The NEP 2020 actually addresses that. In fact, there are some very interesting innovations that have happened in the policy side where people can take a break, do some work, and then go back to the education and continue the education, I think, or they can move into a different institution to continue the education to complete their course. All these things did not exist 4 years ago, and I think these are very interesting innovations in policy side, and IEEE is trying to align with those innovations on seeing how we can bridge those gaps. Thank you.
So your views, please.
If I can add a couple of points, I think excellent points shared by Srikanth. I think the most important thing universities should do, you should have core subjects and electives. Core remains core, that stays for some time, and keep on introducing elective modules, right? Every 3 months, 6 months, keep introducing new modules. That's how you can bring in freshness into the curriculum. Industry academia partnership, inviting mentors from the industry and getting them to interact with your students. That is important. Getting your students to participate in projects in industry. And what is very important, personally I believe, because I interact with a lot of universities and B schools, it is important to depute your teaching, your professors to the corporate world, ask them to have a stint, work on a project, jointly work with the corporate on a project and try to solve problems. Unless they refresh their knowledge, unless they are current on their industry knowledge, they really will not be able to enable their students. That's a couple of points I wanted to add.
Yeah, Ram, your views, please.
I completely agree with both. I think the answer lies in what our Annavaru, Dr. Rajkumar, said in his very beautiful and a famous song almost 50 years ago. And I think that should be the education policy. In Bangalada Manusha, he goes on to say, Agadu yandu, kailagadu yandu, kai katti kulitare sagadu kelasavu munde, manasondiddare margavu untu, kechede irabekendu, agadu yandu. To me, that is the entrepreneurial spirit that we need to teach in every college, every classroom in the state, in the country, because our education system is where all the kids are sitting with their hands like this and listening to something without applying themselves, right? How do we make our youth get out of the colleges? How do we know that the real world education is out there? How do they roll up their sleeves, work with MSMEs, work with entrepreneurs, work with vegetable vendors, help them grow the business, learn the skills from the world around, and can the college become the crucible for such skills? Can the college also teach that, hey, resilience, you got to take risks. This is what risk means, right? How do you make sure that you're able to cater to their aspirations? How do you make them motivated enough to go learn and to apply that in real world? Simple things, we've lost all of it in the guise of curriculums, large textbook, 30 kg bags that we make them carry, and faculty who just show up and say attendance and I have come and that's it, right? Some of the most profound things in life are simple, and I think we really have under NEP an opportunity to transform higher education. In fact, one other interesting initiative that I've got involved with is Professor Sargopal and I have been recently named as the co-chairs for the Karnataka State Higher Education Vision Group. And there's a 25,000 crore, 2,500 crore project from one of the multilateral agencies that is coming up to transform government colleges in the state. And we're using this song as the philosophy of how do you really build employability and entrepreneurship amongst our young people? How do we bring industry into the classroom rather than waiting for the output to come outside? I think, again, a forum like this can really make the connection between academia and industry happen at a much deeper level rather than at the fringes that we seem to be operating today.
Ram. Just to add to what I think we've heard some fantastic thoughts. Unfortunately, our education system is based on a concept of see and tell, not do and tell. You know, it's a fundamental difference between see and tell and do and tell. I understand. I mean, you know, when I was studying way back in the 70s, lab equipment was very, very expensive. So everybody used to see one experiment, make their notes and then report on that because that machinery was so expensive. But it's not the case now. I think we've got to move away from that mindset of see and tell to do and tell. So what if the equipment breaks? It breaks. I mean, you know, something will happen. But only then will kids learn, right? So I think that's a big mindset change that is required between see and tell and do and tell. And I think if we can bring that change, Kiran, I think that would be a big difference in the education system. My last point on this, I'd very strongly urge all the young people in the audience and the MSMEs here, go and work for an MSME. Okay? I started my life working for an MSME and that was the best thing that I did in my life. Of course, at some point of time it was important to earn money, so I went and worked for an MNC and a large MNC at that point of time. But that's a different thing. But my best years of learning were when I was working for the MSME.
Yeah.
Ram? Yes, sir.
Just inspired by what Ram said, do and tell, I just thought of something, especially for our young students out here. You were talking about TIE Bangalore, and I'm happy to put you to a challenge. The challenge at the end of the day, we'll give out a 10,000 rupee prize to any student who completes this challenge in a good way as a competition from TIE Bangalore. The challenge is simple.
Okay.
Any of our students here, this is the challenge. You got to interview, you have so many stalls around here of MSMEs. Go meet people. I want you to make an Instagram reel of the most favorite entrepreneur that you met in this entire stall. Right? Make an Instagram reel of the most favorite entrepreneur you met in this entire stall. Explain why you think this is an entrepreneur you would want to back. Tag TIE Bangalore, tag me, Madan Padaki, you'll find me on Instagram. The best video at the end of the day, we'll give a 10,000 rupee prize money to the student who puts out the best video at the end of the day. Are you up for the challenge? Students, spread the word around as well. The challenge ends at 7 p.m. tonight.
Yeah.
Right? Let's see how many videos come up.
Yeah. I now request Madan, can some of us also participate, not just the students? I think Uma and I'd like to collaborate, make some money tonight.
Open for all.
Okay, thank you. I now request Ram, can you please tell us something more about learning through Bhagavad Gita? I think you should use the... Okay. Yeah. No, I'll stand and do it. All right. Thank you, Kiran, for this opportunity. This is one of my favorite subjects. Charu, can you pull up that slide, mine? Sorry? Yeah? Okay. So, can we learn something from the Bhagavad Gita? Yes, we can. Especially, what are the attitudes that are very, very important? You know, Madan talked about Mandya becoming a 100,000 crore economy in the next 5 years or 6 years. The fact that, you know, Srikanth was saying there's so much that's going to happen in India. Can we go back and can we create something that is unique to us, and what do we need to do to get to that $7 trillion economy and eventually to that $30 trillion economy? I think Ullas Kamath made a very interesting statement yesterday. What has happened in the last 25 years is fine, but what's going to happen in the next 25 years is something completely different. Just because we've got it right in the last 25 years, it doesn't mean that we're going to get it right in the next 25 years. So Madan and I have been involved in this entire program called Antar Prerana, and I'll just pull out a couple of thoughts on that. The first thing that I think we all need to do is to figure this out. Be yourself. Find out what is your Swadharma and completely be yourself. And Madan, we've got some fantastic examples for you here in this audience. I've got an old friend of mine, Mr. Jacob Krasta, one of the innovators in this entire business. I've got Srinivas Murthy here, the Honorary Consul for Vietnam, who's done some amazing work in the agarbatti industry. So many people who've done some fantastic. Uma Reddy herself. Uma is a fantastic person. I know where Bala and his brother Rajgopala, they are the first people who started LPG, private LPG gas in the country. Okay? And these are people who have not been a pale imitation, but have followed their Swadharma. And I think that's the first thing that we need to do. If we want to become this great economy, if we want to become this great make in India, I think we need to do that. The second thing I believe that we need to inculcate in every one of us, in our employees, is to practice these two things. One, abhayam. We need to practice fearlessness. Don't worry about failure. Don't worry about falling down. Cost of failure is not so serious as it was when I was growing up. Today life is different. At the same time, you need to have humility, which means if you have both abhayam and humility, natimanita, you will be able to unlock your entire opportunity antenna, and that opportunity antenna is amazing. See what Madan did just now, asking us to go around the stalls and figure out which or who is the best entrepreneur according to you. And that's this kind of antenna. The third thing that we need to look at is, remember the 6 gateways to hell. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Make sure that you avoid these gateways to hell. Don't get into this instant gratification trap. Overcome the need for instant gratification. Every one of these guys here, Srikanth, Surya, Madan, Kiran, all of these people have taken a difficult path in life. And that is why they are here on this panel today. If they would have taken the easy path of instant gratification, I don't think we would have invited any of them to be here. It's not easy what they are doing. Every day is a challenge. But then, I think they've got out of that 6 gateways of hell of instant gratification. And the next point, you need to be what I call a sthita prajna. Life is not a bed of roses, Let me tell you, if you're going to meet any of the entrepreneurs here, meet someone like a Sushima, she will tell you, life is not a bed of roses. It's miserable, it's horrible, it's terrible, but it's a load of fun. We'll also tell you that you need to know how to handle the ups and the downs in life with equanimity. And finally, so just go back one slide. If you can practice these 5 things, I think we'll create that workforce that will definitely propel India into the next generation. Kiran, any questions from the audience?
Thank you, Ram. A round of applause for Ram for this nice Bhagavad. Thank you, Ram. Thank you so much. Now we'll have 5 to 7 minutes for question and answers. Is there any questions? Can you please raise a hand so that the mic will come to you? Is there any questions? Anyone want to ask your questions? All right. Okay. Mic kodipa. Mic kodi.
Hello, is it audible? Thank you. My name is Mallikarjun, and my professional is software engineer. I am working as a contract in the company. Also, I started MSME, and also I came from rural Bijapur district. and my unit was running properly, and I also started selling in the online, and my tax additions hand out to some outsourcing other person, and he made a mistake something. Because of that, my GST got suspended. My online selling also got suspended. My unit got struck down. Okay. And this is what startup, how the people, because I belongs to engineering background, I am not aware about this government laws and accounts. Now I am aware about that. What are the necessary things we need to take care in the initial stage? And because this is suddenly it stopped online selling, it's hinted. I used to sell throughout India. That is also one achievement that I want. Thank you.
Yeah. First of all, please do reach out to the FKCCI team. We'll try and see how we can help you, number one. Number two, for any startup, my simple advice to everybody, please don't hire, especially in areas that you're not aware of, HR, finance, compliance, etc. Don't hire people who are your friends. Ask and get professionals to work with you. You see, normally what happens is that when we go to people who we like, they may not necessarily be able to give us the kind of service that they need. Now, this is an unfortunate thing that has happened as far as you're concerned, but we do have some very eminent chartered accountants in FKCCI. Please do get in touch with us later, and we'll try and see if there's anything in your specific case. But on a broader issue, Madan, would you agree with that?
No, completely with you. I think it's a very valid point. In fact, either FKCCI or even TIE Bangalore, we are coming out with a simple booklet of what are the do's and don'ts for a startup, basic compliances, HR, what are the filings you must do. A lot of us are not aware, and the rules are changing so often that you don't know what you're doing right or wrong. As entrepreneurs, we are just focused on getting the customers and delivering, and we don't put enough attention on all the compliances, which is a big one. The other thing which I think a forum like this and all of us must do, which I think the Honorable Prime Minister also spoke about it and so did our Honorable CM, that we should simplify rules and regulations. We should press for ease of doing business on a much bigger way, so that entrepreneurs are not put to trouble just because some archaic laws and rules that has no meaning today, right? So I think that's another part that we as entrepreneurs and organizations that support MSME must do, to simplify procedures, regulations, compliances as much as possible, so that we can go ahead and spend more time on doing business than filling 30 other forms that have no meaning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
I have a small point to make here.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is
Can you be a little bit?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. It was great listening all of you. My name is Arif. I am the CFO and Head of Operation of Campus Automation. So it is something related to managing Gen Z. Okay, skill and workforce you all told me. I would like to understand the retention of these Gen Zs are a very big concern. Their mood swing very badly. Today you look at them smiling, tomorrow you don't find in your office. And then you have to start looking for this. On that, if you have some words, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. No, I just want to, Surya would be the right person. I would say that I think especially in Gen Z, attrition is not a bug, it's a feature. Right? That's the nature of the beast. Right? So the moment we see that this is the way life is, as an organization we'll create enough backups, enough talent pipeline, etc., to make sure that we are able to create a learning organization and an organization that can continuously work with people. And people, that's one part of it. Two, to what he said, I think creating an organization that really treats employees well, creates that employer branding, not just branding, but at a very fundamental level, it provides a social fulfillment to the people, becomes very critical. It's just not only business, but
So I really do not agree that there is huge attrition with the Gen Z population. One thing we have to fundamentally understand that do we provide them what they are looking for? That is important. If you don't provide that, they will go. We will not be able to retain them. So there was a study that was conducted recently where it was found out that 68% of Gen Zs will leave an organization if they do not see a connection between what they care for or what is important and what the organization is offering. If they don't see a connection, they will not stay there for long. So what the Gen Zs are looking for today? I think Madan has already answered that question. Not necessarily money. They're looking for learning, they're looking for purpose, they're looking for value, and so on. So are we providing that to our employees? That is the most important question. So Gen Zs will go if our environment is toxic, if there is gossip, if there is politics, they will not relate to that. They will go. So that's why I think I was saying this at the beginning that MSMEs don't invest in branding themselves. They don't talk about what their work culture is. They don't talk about how they treat their employees. But Gen Zs are digital natives. The moment you announce a position and the Gen Z is interested, or if he gets a message that, he has been shortlisted or she has been shortlisted, the first thing he or she will do is look up to your website, right? Your social media page, and try to figure out whether there is a connection or not. So that is important. And how are we going to leverage the Gen Z? Because I come from the skilling function, the L&D function. The biggest challenge that I face is the attention span of Gen Zs. Today the research has said that the attention span of human beings today is 9 seconds. So how can you train people in a classroom when every 9 seconds you have to do something dramatic so that you can retain their attention, right? So you need to understand those nuances and then probably kind of have a strategy which addresses their needs. So now we are focusing more on gamification, more focusing on collaborative learning. We are engaging Gen Z while we are developing programs. We are engaging them right at that stage. Unlike parents who say that, I am the parent, you are the child, I know what is the best thing for you and I will decide what you will do. That world has changed. Sometimes managers also believe that way, that I know what is the best for my team member who is a millennial. But no, you'll have to involve your millennial colleague, your Gen Z colleague, give the empowerment. In our skilling interventions, we engage them in the design phase, not at the delivery stage. These are some of the things which are actually making a lot of difference. Reverse engineering is something that we're trying, reverse mentoring that we are trying, where we get our Gen Zs to mentor our senior executives on digital adoption, social media, how do you really leverage social media to kind of create a brand, etc. So we are using that. We're leveraging our Gen Z population, and we call it reverse engineering. That's a very popular term that is used. I think these are some of the things that we can do to make a difference.
Can I just add one thing? My friend, I used to work in advertising before, many years ago. I used to keep joking with everybody. We were in the 100% attrition business. If our people would go home today at 6 o'clock, there was no guarantee they'll come back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And guess what it was linked to? That old famous adage, people join organizations, but they leave a bad boss. I think more than ever before right now, that is a huge challenge that we are having. At least that's what I keep seeing in all my current clients, that people are leaving bosses. They join an organization because to them an organization makes a lot of difference. But I think somewhere, as Surya was saying, you need to figure out a way of engaging with the boss and the boss's boss, and then worrying about Gen Z is my limited point. But I'm sure after this is over, you can talk to Surya a lot, because someone who, or even Srikanth, who's managing so many different kinds of people. Yeah, just my friend Joey. Jacob Costa, please, yeah. Joe, it's lunchtime, so nice, simple question.
Very simple, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, we are now heading towards the Viksit Bharat. Most of the entrepreneurs today may not survive. Now, what is your panelists, so well-known panelists, what is your suggestion for those entrepreneurs now, how to prepare for a Viksit Bharat? And second, since we are talking about Gen Z, today's Gen Z are going to be, say, 40, 45 years old. How they can prepare to that Viksit Bharat, which is going to be $30 trillion economy, but some economists say it's a $45 trillion economy. So if the 2,200 per income is going to be $28,000 per income, how can they prepare and be in the heaven? That's my question.
Sir, the man who asked the question himself is the president of, past president of CASIA, past president of FKCCI, is a very well-known, highly respected industrialist, panelist, and also he is from the FICCI. So he is totally understood about the whole thing. So this question is very, very important.
So this question is basically quizzing us. He knows the answer. So I'm not the right person to speak for entrepreneurs, but one of the things I feel that people should realize when we talk about workforce, when we talk about preparing for the future, is I think the world underneath is changing pretty rapidly, right? So when we are talking about a product and when we are talking about the innovation that we are doing now, probably it takes about 4 to 5 years for the product to hit the market, another 3 to 4 years for the product to be successful. So you are looking really at a 10-year landscape from starting your innovation and when the product is going to hit the market. So even though as you are preparing for the parameters as it exists today, you need to understand what will be the parameters 10 years from now and how do you prepare for that change so that your product can be flexible as you hit that market 10 years from now. So I think those are the products that eventually make the market. Even if you look at Google of today, right? When we got to know about Google, the innovation started probably a decade before we got to know about Google. So I think they understood the market pulse on how the market is changing, and being prepared for that is the way that I think you can prepare yourself for the future of the entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much.
Maybe just to add very, very quickly, and I can later on check with you if I pass the test. Technology is going to be a key enabler for that transformation of India, and I would think that MSMEs must be, or entrepreneurs must be at the forefront of embracing technology to build better products and better services for customers. That's one. So don't be scared of tech, play around with it, engage Gen Z to build that. Second, especially forums like this, entrepreneurs I have seen are not too keen to collaborate, but a core entrepreneurial mindset is all about collaboration, meet people, figure out how we can work together to make 1 + 1 = 11 rather than 2, and I think that is the key when we come together and leverage our strengths. Third, embrace failures. Failure is not a failure. Failure is a stepping stone for success. Try 10 things. The nature of the beast is you will not work in 9, but work in 1. It's just that what Edison said, you know, before he discovered the electric light bulb, he says, I have found 1,000 ways of it not working, and then I found the way it will work. Take that mindset, and then we can all move forward together.
Sir, thank you so much. The last question to all the panelists, I know we are all hungry. If you could make one change mindset or a model that would radically improve how we manage the skilled Gen Z in India, what would be? One line answer from all the panelists. Start from there. Sir, if you could make one change mindset or a model that would radically improve how we manage the skilled Gen Z in India, what would be?
One line, one mindset change in one line that you want to talk about how to manage Gen Z in India.
How to manage Gen Z in India. So I like the point that Surya made. I think reverse mentoring is the key.
Beautiful.
I think, I learned something today. We have a lot of Gen Zs in our office. I think the senior leadership are typically people who are more than 40 years old. I think be open to ideas. Best ideas come from anywhere. It can come from a 10-year-old or a 20-year-old. I think being open to ideas and taking it forward is the best way to manage Gen Z.
Two lines, one for the MSMEs, other one is for Gen Gs. For the MSMEs, treat the Gen Z as your friend, not as your child or your employee or whatever. Treat as a friend. And for the Gen Gs, for the B school students sitting here, don't try to become managers, try to become an entrepreneur. Whether you join an organization or start your own company, try to become an entrepreneur.
Given that it is lunchtime, I was thinking of a food analogy. Don't manage Gen Zs like an idli, vada, sambar, but manage them like a thali. What I mean by that is, there is no single formula for success, but if you can keep a larger offering which caters to their financial needs, social needs, emotional needs, their digital needs, which is a thali of offering, and you make that thali branded well, both of you can enjoy that thali.
I think the main mindset change, according to me, is to stop being a gatekeeper. And even to add to that point that you raised, Mr. Krasta, I think if the day we stop being gatekeepers and we start becoming enablers, life changes for us, life changes for our people, and then, well, I'm 100% sure that both of us are going to be around in 2047. That's my assurance to you. Because with the way science is going, Jacob, 100 years is the average lifespan for all of us.
So friends, I also wanted to make one last point about the Gen Z. Well friends, to tell you true, the answer of this Gen Z is when Mr. Seshu and my president and my other colleagues from FKCCI, the senior vice president Umar Reddy or Sushima, they told me that this is the subject they're going to give. So it was also new to me. So I had to take the help of my son and my daughter-in-law. I sincerely thank my son Darshan and Sanjana and her sister. All of them, they gave me so much of input for the last 3 days in preparing this. So if somebody is thinking that side, that these questions are coming from Kiran, it is not from Kiran, it's only from the youngsters who have just given this. So I would like to thank all the three of them and sincerely thank all the audience and people all on live. Thank you so much. This program is also to be continued after 2 o'clock. So stay back, have your lunch and come and join us again. I now request our Senior Vice President Umar Reddy and also Sushima. May I also have to recognize our past President, His Excellency Shri N.S. Srinivasmurthy, Honorary Consul for Vietnam, to come on stage along with Mr. Krasta for a photograph with the panelist. Come, let's.
Great session.
Yeah.
My only point is, as a lady, no, you didn't talk about attrition is less when you employ women.
Correct. Yeah. I think we should definitely make that point right now.
90% of my staff in my factory are women. Excellent session. One group picture. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, it was an excellent session.
Thank you, sir. And thank all the panelists for a wonderful session we had. Now, before the lunch break, we have a lucky dip to be drawn. I request
Lunch is served.
our Senior Vice President, Ms. Umar Reddy, to kindly
Once women find a comfort zone, they go jump somewhere. Not now, I'm talking about it for 40 years. My business is 4 decades. I started when I was in final year of engineering.
may I request our Senior Vice President, Umar Reddy, Madam, to kindly draw a lucky dip for the winner of today's lucky person. Hello. Today's lucky person is Ram Dayal, Equitas Bank,
Proper BLT.
and Mr. Prabha of BLT. So I request the winners to please collect the prize. Now our session has come to an end. We meet again at 2 p.m. after the lunch break. I request all the audience to kindly reassemble after the lunch. We are having a very important technical session, vendor development. So I request all of the audience to please come back for the important technical session, vendor development at 2 p.m. Thank you.